Okay, hi everybody, and welcome to another episode of Lessons from Leaders. We hope you're all doing really well. Coming to you from lockdown, and especially in that context, we hope you're managing to keep your mental fitness and your mental skills going, keep upbeat, and we'll all get through this together. We have got an excellent guest with us today. We've known Emily for a long time, but as always, only later on do you realise when you think about what someone's doing, that they can be really handy when you need to have a conversation about mental skills. Emily is a superb hockey player, plays for Surbiton Ladies, 7 times national champion, playing in there alongside lots of people who've been to the Olympics. It's a very elite team you're in, and it's really great to have you on. So thanks very much, Emily. We're going to talk a little bit about resilience, mental skills, mental health in sport. But firstly, how are you doing? It must be really difficult at the moment. Are you training? Are you how's everything going for you guys?
Yeah, so we had we were lucky in that, well, I say lucky, the end of our last season got cut short. We managed to finish our league, but we normally have a league that then leads into a playoff, so playoff finals, and that determines the national champions. So unfortunately that was not allowed from a timing perspective. That coronavirus interrupted that, but we had finished our league was lucky in that we had actually finished our league games, so that league was sort of a portion based on that. Then we had the summer, so in a sense that was kind of good timing, and then during the August, which was our pre-season, I'll run into our new season. We were okay, we were training, we were following government guidelines, but we were doing as much as we could, which was actually plenty, almost more than before, because of the slightly extended break. So we wanted to make sure we were ready to go this season. So in a sense, it hadn't been affected until this most recent lockdown, and now we aren't training, we aren't able to, like everyone else, I think, but we've just got our own individual fitness programs. There's no hockey, which is not as fun.
No. Ben, you know, that is very difficult, and you're obviously all going to be expected, presumably, to come back exactly where you left off. But training by yourself, do you find that when you don't have your teammates to support you, is it significantly harder? How are you managing to grind out your plan in the background here?
Yes. I don't know, but I certainly joined a team sport to play a team sport in order to do it with your mates, with your teammates, and I think for the majority of people, a horrible fitness session is much easier with other people to do it with and alongside. But we are quite good. We've done one of our girls is a PT as well, and so we've done a couple of Saturday, we didn't like to lose the social, done a couple of Saturday circuits with her, which have been horribly unpleasant, so thank you, Steph. So we've done a few things like that. We definitely did a few social things as well during the previous lockdown. That was a lot longer, so we just did some catch-ups because we also get on really well, so we wanted to still do that even if we couldn't actually physically get together. But fitness wise, it's been a combination of doing your own thing and a couple of bits together on Zoom.
I can vouch. I saw Emily running across Battersea Bridge last week.
That's the only reason we got an interview. Chase it down. But that's an interesting part of it, right? Is because it's not just going to be your physical skills, technical. When you get on the field, it's about relationships as well. So curating that bit in the meantime actually is more than like, oh, we're mates for you guys. Presumably, we've actually got to make sure that team spirit, team communication doesn't dip while we're all by ourselves.
For sure. I mean, I would definitely, the reason why I don't say I'm old, but I'm definitely older now than I was before, and easily the main reason for me to keep playing is to play alongside some of my best mates. So at Surbiton, I think we are very lucky that we have a strong camaraderie on and off the pitch, and that's boosted well, again, luckily for us, I think it's relatively organic, so it happens by itself, because of our characters, because of touching base, lots of different things. But you're absolutely right, it's really, really important to maintain those kind of relationships, because the communication that you get both predominantly on the pitch in order for success, but it starts from off the pitch as much as it is on the pitch, because it's very hard to instigate a taught, if you're told by your coach, communicate better, great, but how do you do that? And having that relationship formed off the pitch allows it a lot more easily to flow on the pitch.
Yeah, I think it's a question I often kind of chew around in my mind, but like whether you have to be mates to be a great team, and I think because at work you always think, well, you don't choose your colleagues, but there's some space in between, I think, with team sport where it helps, right? Like actually building good culture on the pitch comes from actually coincidentally being mates off of it. It seems to be very much your experience. Would you say that's like true, or do you think teams can function if people just do their job and they're committed, but not necessarily personally like mates with each other?
I think it's a good question. I think there's two levels for sure. There's, if you're great mates and best mates or whatever, that's definitely easier. It makes all the extra bits easier, because it makes huge disappointments that you would inevitably have, whether that's team related losses, whether that's individually related injuries, etc. Like that can make those easier. It also can help natural gelling more easily, but you can definitely have, we always used to joke about having, you've got mates, you've got hockey mates,
yeah,
and then you've got, so what would you describe as like a hockey mate? And that is, and I have struggled to find this, that is a mate in my eyes that you've played with over the years, then you've maybe not seen for like 10 years, and then you see them and it's like, and it could be back to normal. There's something that you've shared,
yeah,
whether that be in a certain team over a certain period of time, that has bonded you, that's quite hard to break. And I think that comes from a level of respect. If you are both working hard for the same goal, and you know that your teammate would put in the 150% that you would put in, I mean, you don't have to really want to go, I don't know, out for dinner with them on a random night, but you will still have that bond that's difficult to shift.
yeah.
So that's probably the two. Yeah, exactly. And that is a real thing that is maybe quite hard to articulate, but I've easily found that through all walks of life. If I bump into someone that I've played hockey with at some point in my life, there will be just that little bit of something extra.
Yeah, and I think it's when you go into sort of non-sporting environments, and we were talking about this a little bit earlier, that it's that shared experience that when there's like corporate team building days and things like this, and everyone's really not that bothered about it. I think it's because of that, like this, the difference is in a sports environment, you're automatically pitching into the same bucket.
Yeah.
So you're all stakeholders in a common pool of effort. Whereas if in another team environment, it might be work, it might be whatever, but fundamentally that's what we're talking about, is there has to have been that sort of, oh, you did that for the benefit of everybody. So then everyone's kind of obliged to, not obliged, but there's a contract, right? There's almost like an implicit, we'll all do it. So, and those can be social things, can also be horrible fitness sessions, but fundamentally what we're looking for there is just a shared experience that puts a little bond between you. Really interesting.